Hi, everybody. Thanks for being some of the first to sign on. It's always nice to see people on time. Unfortunately, we're going to give it a few more minutes and wait for everybody to sign on. We have a lot of people, about 40 people that went out to this week. Who knows? Maybe we'll get 10 to 15. But we'll give everybody a chance to log on for the next few minutes. But thank you for your patience, everybody. All right, we'll get started in just one more minute. Yes, thank you all for again being patient. All right, everybody. I'm sure some more people will sign on in the next few minutes, and I'll turn my video on. Hi, everyone. Sorry, it's a little dark over here. Give me 1 second. Alexa, turn the color light brightness up 5. Alexa, turn the light brightness up 10. Is that a little bit better? I hope so. Um, well, thank you all for, again, taking the time tonight to join me and everybody else in discussing these articles. And why don't we just jump right in and get started by talking about the first article. The, the first article is about independence versus interdependence. And I'd love for someone to start the conversation by talking about what their big takeaways, questions, the concepts that really sunk in with them about this article. Who wants to kind of go first and start the conversation? I will call on someone. All right. Is that you,
I think,
Leanne?
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is something I like this just really resonates with me in our work, like working with primarily preschoolers who have autism, and I hear parents sometimes talk about the importance of them being able to play on their own,
Mhm.
and so it's really interesting wanting to kind of honor parents' wishes and kind of wanting to hear them out and then talk about why that maybe shouldn't be one of our goals, or potentially at some point that could be a goal,
Right.
because they have to make dinner, they have to make phone calls, that kind of thing.
Well,
um
let me ask you, can
yeah,
I turn that into a question?
yeah,
What, and this is a bigger picture question, and I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but
I'm
I've
used to it.
worked with Leanne for a number of years, as well as some other people, so I think she'll get this one. And if you don't, that's okay too.
Okay.
Um, but when do you think we should, in a child's developmental life, not their chronological life, but in their developmental life, what do you think the necessary kind of precursors are before we can prioritize a little more independence?
Yeah, I think when they're up past like level 4 and doing some of that, the social problem solving and then continuous flow, because until they get there, really, they don't have that kind of sense of interdependence and the ability to even know they can rely on other people and how to get that help from other people on a consistent basis. So
Right.
if it's happening before that, it's kind of I see it with one of the families I work pretty close with, and I work really hard with them on this of
Mhm.
your child can do a lot of things on his own, and those are wonderful skills for him to have, but at his developmental age where he's at, it's actually kind of dangerous,
Yeah.
because he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing on his own, and it's also just creating the sense for him that he doesn't need other people, he doesn't need to ask for
Right.
things. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to clarify, I know everybody's coming into these discussions at different levels of knowledge. Leanne referenced a milestone number 4, and we'll talk about milestones next in the next article. But not all of them in terms of the framework, but the importance of the term milestone. Um, However, I just want to clarify, milestone number 4 is shared social problem and the problem solving and the continuous flow. What Leanne was saying is that it's not until that a child really masters this continuous interaction, which happens naturally around 18 months of life for a child who does not have a delay in their social emotional growth. But many children continue to work on it throughout their lives. I mean, no 18-month-old is fully mastered it. Let's put it that way. Even adults keep refining it, because think about this as the pattern that allows us to adapt and stick with something, even in the face of conflict and challenge. Okay, when we run into a roadblock, we can go over it, we can go around it, or we can run away from it, right? And so, unfortunately, most kids will tend to run away from it or just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, and all of a sudden go into their own world, right? So either avoid or distract or sometimes melt down. It's not until a child really has the ability to sustain the engagement and sustain the interaction and be adaptive with their responses within the interaction, that then, and it may even sound a little sadistic, that then we can let them be a little bit more on their own. So they're essentially reaching a high level of mastery of social interaction, tolerating challenges, dealing with problems. And now, once they've done all of that, if they're on their own a little bit, we know they've solidified their interest in people. We know they've solidified their ability to interact with people continuously. So if they haven't solidified those skill sets, what do you think we risk by letting them play on their own for extended periods of time? And like you were saying, Leanne, one of the downsides to that, again, even though it may be necessary at times, and I get it, life is life. But the downside to that is if a child's doing that regularly for extended periods of time, they're developing habits, they're developing behavioral patterns that are going to be harder to break in the future, because children love the path of least resistance. And me playing on my own is always going to be easier than me dealing with someone else. Right. I mean, we've all seen this in our personal lives, even as adults, right? I know me working at home is easier than me working at the office, right? But I also know that if I spend too much time working at home, I start going crazy. So, because I need to be around people, we all do. We're social beings, but kids don't know that yet. So we have to help them know that, even if it's challenging for them. So we need to make sure that these more maladaptive habits don't develop early on, and we're replacing those potential habits with engagement, interaction, and play and fun And so now what happens, the child wants more social time. They want to interact with you. They want to play with you. They want to engage with you. And then again, it sounds sadistic, but once they've mastered that preference, then we can let them be on their own a little bit. But good point. But good point, Leanne. Anybody else have a comment, either about what I said or what she said?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about like the ultimate goal of floor time, which is like self-awareness. And
Mhm.
so thinking about how through helping them with the milestones, they're able to build this self-awareness, which helps them be interdependent because they're able to share emotions with people and have these types of interactions that, are engaging, and it shows them how they can become adaptable to certain problems. So that's
Right.
really what I was thinking about.
Yeah, no, that's another really, really good point. And again, just so everybody knows, Ashley commented on a conversation she and I had doing some additional training a little while ago about kind of really when you look at the entire framework of my father's kind of body of work, there is a lot of people think floor time is there to help children socialize or even learn play skills. And yes, those are outcomes that can be achieved using floor time, and they will be achieved if you use it regularly. However, that's not the ultimate goal. The goal of floor time isn't just to help a child learn to play and socialize. Those are some of the stepping stones we accomplish on our way to the ultimate goal. And what happens is, if you look at the milestones we talk about so much about, we have shared attention, engagement, two-way communication. We now have social problem solving, continuous flow, meaningful, symbolic use of ideas, logical thinking. Okay, so those are the six. But my father, he actually wrote about 9 milestones, so 9 of them, right? Sorry, it's hard to the camera. 9 milestones, and which means there are 3 higher level milestones that a lot of people don't know about. And these were written in some of his other books, like The Learning Tree, and I believe The Growth of the Mind. If you're ever looking for additional literature that he wrote 40 books in his career. And in those higher milestones, for example, milestone number 7 for a child who's really mastered answering all the who, what, when, where, why, how questions. And I'm not just saying, what is this? What color is it? Type questions. I'm talking about, why do you want to do that? Or why do you feel that way? Right? Those types of questions. And once they've mastered the ability to answer that, they move into milestone 7, 8, 9, which are all reflective areas of a social emotional function. Because as an adult, if this is a social emotional framework, what's going to lend itself to the greatest level of social emotional health and success in your life? Is it going to be just thinking about yourself and thinking everything you do is perfect and you are infallible? Or is it going to be thinking that, gee, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to? Why was that? What did I do this time? Or have I done that again? Did I do it before? Right? Can I reflect on my own actions and actually create my own sense of kind of moral standards that they might be based on religion or outside influences? Sure. But do I have the ability to actually judge myself? And not just always critically, but even positively. And from that, then adapt and adjust what I'm doing and become more and more reflective, connecting those dots. I mean, some people even use reflection to get deep into their emotional states. Like if I'm feeling angry about something that happened today at work, well, why am I so angry about this today, but I wasn't angry about it last week? What's going on in my life today that's different than last week? That's a big question. That's a reflective question. And if I can answer that, guess what? I'm actually more self-aware. So it actually, and actually, I'm going to stay more calm, and I probably won't be as angry tomorrow when I go into work. So what Ashley was saying is the ultimate goal of floor time isn't play, isn't communication, isn't answering questions. It's actually self-awareness that comes from all these processes within the milestones. So, but good comment, Ashley. Any other thoughts or questions? I guess, Isla, you wrote something. Do parents develop a sense of knowing they're doing just the right, let's see, just the right of everything they need to be doing and at what time and what matter and right amount? What does, sorry, there's something on my screen. What does mastery look like for us? I'm getting disoriented from time to time after 1.5 years. I'm wondering if it's typical or if it's me not being gifted in this field. No, I mean, I think so Aya, just everybody knows, is a mom who's in our community, and many of you are professionals, some of you are moms as well. But I think one of the challenges with this is with applying something that is so emotionally involved and is so adaptive, right? It's not that it's step one, step two, step three the same way every day. It's step one, step two, step three. It's different every day, right? Because our child changes and we change and the environment changes. So we always are constantly adapting. That is exhausting. It is a challenge. But as you understand why it's a challenge for you, why, like I said, is today's behavior or today's difficulties or today's challenges more difficult for us to tolerate than yesterday's. Okay, if we can figure that out, why it's triggering us, why is it making us feel a little discombobulated or disoriented, right? Why we're feeling more tired or overwhelmed, that reflective process is going to help us actually connect the dots. And this is the kind of fundamental principle behind more analytical work from a psychodynamic psychological framework, right? We're connecting these dots that may not always exist in our present time, right? We're looking at our previous experiences as well as our present experiences, and we're connecting these dots. So what happened to me 2 days ago with my friend, all of a sudden I'm going to see him again tomorrow. Well, if we got in a fight 2 days ago, guess what? Tonight I'm feeling more tense. I don't know why I'm feeling more tense. I'm not thinking about tomorrow, but I am feeling more tense. And if I can connect those dots, then all of a sudden I realize, hey, what do I have going on in my life today or tomorrow that I might be tense about, even though I don't necessarily thinking about, I don't want to meet this person. Now, all of a sudden, I can actually regulate that part of my nervous system if I understand where it's coming from. But we have to be reflective ourselves. And as adults, that's a challenge, right? Because many of us haven't gone through that process extensively. And if you have, it's usually with the help of a good therapist or a good friend. But it's a necessary component of us being able to regulate. And I think that's what you're finding now is after a year and a half of this, you're running into challenges. You might even be feeling like you're plateauing and not making as much progress as you want, or you might be making great progress, but still feeling burned out because you're working so hard at it. And each of these things need to be discussed because a lot of times burnout comes from thinking, when is this going to end? Right? I can keep putting in the effort, but I can't do this indefinitely. And I've had parents tell me that before. And thinking about what the progress and the process, we got to have some understanding of what that means to us and what it means for our child. So I wish I had a more clear-cut answer for you, but the best thing to do is just like with with everyone's child, work towards that high level self-awareness and reflection. Other questions about kind of the independence versus interdependence. Now, just so someone can kind of share with everybody, if one of the people here did not read the full article, what is the difference between independence and interdependence? Like, what is the definition of interdependence for you all? And if you yeah, you're welcome, Maya. If you don't have to read it, if you can just tell me from your words. Nobody.
I will jump in with that.
Great, thanks, Kate.
And partly because I so appreciated it. So interdependence, in the article you talked about two autonomous people who are partnering together to accomplish things. And I really appreciated that. I actually talked to two parents about it today,
Oh, good.
who have made comments or done actions to show how much they value independence in their kids. And these are kids who one of them is just starting to quickly ask for help, which is just amazing and awesome. And
yeah.
So we had opportunity to talk about it. So I really appreciated the two autonomous people who are working together to get something done. Really appreciated that.
Well, thank you. No, that's beautiful. And just to talk about your example of with parents, I hope for those of you that are professionals, or even if you're parents and have other friends in the community, please share these articles with people. I wrote these articles or put them together and had other people help me sometimes too. But we put these together to be resources for professionals and parents. And we use these regularly with parents at the Floortime Center to help them understand these concepts. Because one, as a professional, you don't want to sound like a broken record because people start tuning you out. Trust me, I know. But most importantly, you want to be providing parents with enough of a concrete information so they can wrap their head around it in their own way. They can read it, they can do their own due diligence, they can do additional research, whatever it takes. But it gives them the freedom of exploration versus just being lectured to, right? Which doesn't always turn out well. And so this also can lead to discussions, like it sounds like it happened with you, with Kate. And so that discussion, the two-way communication that can stem from these articles is the purpose of them. And that's why I'm having these office hours, so I can have discussions with all of you. And we do this internally in our office as well. So please share these with whoever you want in any other articles you find.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's super valuable, because it also gives parents a depth of information at a time when they can access it versus
right.
on the fly as we're doing the work, which is also good. I mean, I think they complement each other so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have 3 of these unfinished articles on my laptop right now, so I'm going to keep pumping these out and finding good topics that really do explain important concepts in what my father's framework was trying to achieve. Because everything I'm doing, which is within the framework, I'm just using outside resources to show that my father wasn't the only person talking about this stuff, which is unfortunately what some people think. I mean, this is stuff that exists across the realm of mental health, physical health, social health. I mean, you name it. So we'll keep putting these out, and if you all have any areas or questions, please let me know. I can either direct you to a pre-existing article or possibly formulate a new one. The one other thing I did want to also comment on, Kate, is that these are people in the definition of interdependence, right? We think about where do we want our child or ourselves to even be when they're an adult, right? That's what we're always trying to look at here. Where do we want them to go? We're not just looking at today and short-term changes. We're looking at the bigger picture, right? That was one of my father's real gifts to the community, is that he was looking at the biggest picture possible of social emotional health, not just today's behaviors, where ABA and everything else was looking. And so when we think about that, we think about the skills necessary to succeed in life, right? At any level. I mean, at any level of whether you're in high school or college or you have a job and a career, you're going to have to deal with people at some level. You're going to have to collaborate with people at some level. You're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to compromise. All of the things that, we end up doing, some of us regularly on a daily basis, some of us less frequently if we work as a consultant or on our own or something. But nonetheless, these are skill sets that we have to at least be able to apply and hopefully master as we become an adult to be truly successful. And if we can't, these types of experiences are going to stress us out. And actually, with my father's belief, a lot of our mental health disorders come from people who haven't mastered some of these thinking skills. And as a result, daily life can be overwhelming, be stressful, cause us to want to retreat and hide and cocoon, or it can make us tense and anxious, right? All of the above. All right. I do want to make sure we have time to get to both articles. So was there any other comments or questions about this first one? Because the second one is another important one. All right.